Lately, there's been a rather large uptick of the idea floating around on various social media platforms that socialism means slavery or taxation means slavery. And by the way, taxation, I mean, socialism isn't when taxes getting done. Um, that they like to conflate that a lot, those on the far economic right. And the thing is, I thought I'd make a relatively brief video about the idea, or how ridiculous the idea that socialism means slavery. Basically, those on the far economic right call socialism slavery because they think socialism always requires force or unjustified force in their eyes. So to them, anything socialist is slavery, literal, actual slavery, even though when the workers own the means of production, the workers have a say over the place that they work at. And that's what socialism is. It's workplace democracy at at a person's job, or democracy at a person's job. They're not behest in a manner to a capitalist dictator or the like. They're just having a say over their workplace. And do slaves have a say over their workplace or wherever they're literally forced to work? No, of course not. And whenever people on the far economic right try to conflate the two items, I have to set them straight. And they always, one of two things happens generally. Either they just ghost the conversation and they disappear, or they try to get more and more hyperbolic with their language. It just, when someone just completely starts to go off the rails like that, you know you've gotten under their skin and you've gotten the point across to them. But you know what? They don't care. They just want their libertarian or objectivist, minarchist sort of worldview imposed on everyone else, and somehow that is enforced. Whenever libertarians or right-wing objectivists, or right-wingers in general, on the far economic side of things, they want to try to act like their version of reality is the one and only that must be respected because they say so. And if you disagree, oh, you're just illegitimate and you can be ignored. Oh, gee, that's really, really convenient. And so they've spun all these carefully crafted narratives to support that idea. But if you really start to examine it closely, their worldview just falls apart, and it's just as presuppositional as any other worldview out there, no matter how so-called objective they may call it. And I'm willing to have whatever conversations with whoever that's listening to this about it in the comments section or wherever else, because what really bugs me is that they're trying to put their ideas out there as if they're just so much better than everybody else's ideas, when in fact their ideas require just as much force, if not more force, and more effective authoritarianism when it comes to respecting and everyone having to go with along with their version of private property rights. And when I say private property rights, I don't mean just simply owning stuff like this toothbrush is literal private property. No, that's personal property. That's why you'll find in these conversations you may have with far right wingers like these, is that they'll say something like private, but personal property isn't a thing and is only private or unowned, is what they'll say. But of course, what if someone disagrees? What if someone says, okay, there's private property and personal and public? Then that same right winger will be like, no, it's just illegitimate because of reasons. So now they're using justifications and reasoning, and so to me, it just really smacks of economic and ideological convenience on their parts. So when they try to say things like socialism is slavery, like, no, the idea is of workplace democracy is to ensure that all the workers have a say over the workplace and to not get treated like cogs in some authoritarian machine at the workplace. Now, there's different ways to do socialism and different ways to do capitalism, but the general dictionary definitions of each are pretty clear. One is private ownership of the means of production, and the other is public ownership or social ownership of the means of production. And depending on what kind of interpretation you want to take of each definition, that's fine. I'm all about interpretation, technicality, and nuance, but I really had to make this relatively short video on this ridiculous idea that socialism means slavery, or taxes mean slavery. Again, taxation doesn't automatically mean socialism, even though many on the far economic right want to treat it like, oh my God, I'm a literal slave. Well, then who asked you? Who asked you to go out of your way to take advantage of the public system that's allowing you to be so monetarily gainful in the first place? I mean, and I always, and I usually end up asking them, like, where does money come from? Where does the monetary notes, like the dollar bill that you got in your pocket, where does it originally originate from? And then all of a sudden they want to try to change the conversation to like, well, we shouldn't be doing that system. But why are you taking a part of it? Why are you taking advantage of it? Why are you choosing to do that? Like, don't take advantage of something and then complain about it after the fact once you got to pay up your part to keep it going. I mean, it's like dining and dashing. You go into a restaurant, you eat, you sit down, you eat all the food, and yeah, it's pretty good, and all of a sudden you run out the door. Well, I don't feel like paying. You're forcing me now. I'm literally being a slave to you. Oh. It's the same thing when people take advantage of the public system that we have in place for people to do so. It's got various rules that you have a say over with your vote. You can even run for office. Can slaves run for office? Well, hey, master, I want to, run for a manager position. Now, that doesn't happen. So whenever someone says socialism or taxes or government or whatever is slavery, they're just being really overly reductive and ridiculous to try to score emotional points with their people who are like-minded. But when you look at it and you use some of the reasoning and argumentation that you've found on, in this video and on my, YouTube, in my YouTube videos in general, you'll find that their reasoning is rather lacking. Is really, really wanting in the making sense department. So if you could let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you again next time.